Hello everyone. Today I'm playing with, I used to get these beautiful purple, I believe they're wisteria, on a little sitting area I had in my backyard. And I was just thinking about it because this was the time of year that I would see those. So I thought I would go ahead and paint those because they're a lot of fun and I can paint them just with brush strokes. So today my materials are going to be, as you know, I normally use the Artisto pads, which are fabulous, fabulous. I'm out of them once again. That's how much painting I do because you get 3 of these. This was my spring one. I ran out, but such lovely paper. You can carry it with you. You can use them as reference if you label them like I do. They're perforated, fab texture. I just love them. They're 140-pound cold press. So what I use, and I actually love this paper, but it's a little bit more expensive. It is 100% cotton, but it again is 140-pound cold press, has a beautiful texture. And the Meeden paper is typically on blocks, which just mean it's sealed on all 4 edges. And then I've also got, I love Meeden, been using them for about a year, love their ceramic. Wash and rinse well, very important for watercolors. I'm using their little ceramic palette to mix on. And then my MeiLiang, Paul Rubens' sister company paints, because they have just such a great selection, you know, all the warms and cools. This one in particular has all of these metallics you can buy. You see me use that turquoise palette. It's these 3 rows, and that's perfectly fine as well. Mine is packed right now. I was painting over at a cafe, so it's over there. Oh, and then my brushes. And today I'm using my 1/2-inch cat's tongue. Hopefully these will be out in August. Of course, depends on the interest in them. I will put the link if you want to just take a sneak peek at them and have them let you know when they are released. There's going to be 5 of them. You see me use the round a lot. I'm just addicted to the round brushes. I used a filbert the other day in a tutorial. Love the filbert too. I think it's such a great brush. It practically paints things itself, honestly. But today I'm using the cat's tongue. This is my 1/2-inch cat's tongue. So what I'm going to do, let's just mix, kind of play with some colors. So I think on my color palette, my go-to green is always like a sap green. I just love that color. And this paper is a little bit gray. It's practice paper. Sorry about that, guys. So it has a gray tinge to it. So I think I'm going to use when I taught a lot of kids classes, I used this paper a lot because it was really reasonable. But it does have that grayish tint to it. And then here's the olive green, which is just a tiny bit darker. So I usually use a combo of those 2. So that's tree green and olive green in the MeiLiang palette. They also have this beautiful yellow green, which I really, really love. And then I think what I remember from I hope these are wisteria. I'll have to look them up. I think that's what they were. I'm going to use the lavender. Such a pretty color. There we go. And some of that blue. Any of the blues in your palette will do. And we're going to kind of mix those together. And then, of course, I'll use different shades or tones, values and such. And I might even add in a little bit of this blue. Let's see here. Yeah, I might even add in a tiny bit of that. All right, the brush stroke I'm going to be using a lot of, which is so great with this brush, is as you just seen, we can definitely use the brush stroke. Holding my brush, I hold right about the ferrule, and you could do things like this, which almost creates an automatic petal. If you turn it a little bit to the side, you know, swinging back and forth like we do with the filberts, you get this beautiful little dabs for your flowers. You also put some of that in here in my palette. You can use it on its side, which I really love. Like, what a fun flower that is. Or leaves, that could be leaves. I think those are just really, really fun. The other thing that I always appreciate in brushes is when you get this really thick, beautiful coverage, and then you can also use the point. I just love that in brushes. So look at these wonderful thin lines I'm getting. So here's a leaf. If I put pressure, I've got this leaf, but then I can use this side to kind of add some detail or maybe shape some of my petals. So here's our branch, and then point, press. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? Point, press, point, press, point, press, and then I can go back in and just add in, you know, some little textures. So this brush is great. You can also do this type of thing if you want a really thick look there. Adding in some other colors. Okay, I'm getting carried away now. Let's go ahead and start our painting. So there you go. So I'm going to start at the top here with some of my petals. So I'm going to put some of this green in my palette here. This is the tree green. There we go. And I really love that blue. So I'm going to leave that there a bit. I might add a little bit of the olive green just here in case I want to grab some of that. Rinse my brush out. I think I need a little bit more of that tree green available there, so I'm going to add some more. And there we go. I might put a little bit of purple in here because I'll be grabbing that. And I love all the pinks and purples they have in this palette. They have so many. Now this purple I have right here has a little white mixed in it, that's fine. I'm gonna grab some of this purple, loading the side of your brush. Don't leave drill holes in your paints. You'll ruin your tip of your brush. So there's just a regular violet. There we go. And then the last color I'll get ready. And the reason why I'm getting these ready now is because when you're working wet and wet, you want to have your paints ready. Otherwise, they could dry. Your painting could dry before you're mixing up your next paint. So I like to really have them in a palette and ready. And I'm going to mix a little bit of this light blue, which I'm almost out of. I need to get my tubes out and hopefully have more in there. So I really like that blue. And then I think I'll play with this turquoisey blue too. And we'll add in some violets and things. Let's see. My palette's getting a little full, isn't it, guys? I hate, for some reason, washing my palettes. I love when they're full of color because I use a lot of the same colors anyway. Okay. So let's start. I'm going to start with my kind of my leaves coming out at the top here. So this is where I'm going to rest my hand on the side of my paper. I'm holding about at the ferrule because the farther down, you're going to have a lot more control and point. The farther up, you can have a lot more wiggle room and play. So I go about midway. So this is the ferrule. This is, I'm going to be using the tip or toe of the brush and the belly. So coming in first with these long, kind of wispy branches that we're going to put beautiful leaves on. And look at that wonderful, pointed, small, thin stroke I can get with that. Just going to rinse my brush a bit and then go in and maybe pick up some of the lighter green I've got in my palette here. And turning my brush on its side, point, press, and I can do 2 of those if I want it to be larger. Already running out of some of that green. So let's get a little bit more of that in there. Point, press. I mean, so easy these are. A little bit of that olive green. I really want to make this like it's just flowing downwards. I loved that look. I had this beautiful tree over my eating area downstairs, and it was so beautiful. Every year, it didn't last very long, and every year I would look forward to, I'm just going in now with some little spats of color. Every year it would bloom, but not for very long, unfortunately. And then I'll use the tip to kind of go in and create some more branches, stems, and maybe tap in with some of these blues just for some interest. There we go. Want to get some really light. And then this is where our wisteria is going to be hanging down, is from these. And I'm exaggerating a little bit because I just love these. So what I'm going to go in first and do is grab some of that purple, but a very light wash of it, meaning about 80% water, 20% pigment. And I'm going to go into the background and just kind of add like almost a wash of purple. And then we're going to build on that with some layers. Might even add in some of the blue. These plants, I wish I had a photo of mine. They were just so beautiful. It was like really exciting every year when they would come out. My neighbors would all comment. They were just beautiful. So just keep going, putting this very light wash down, adding in just a few little areas here and there. I really like the blue in there. I think it just, the colors are so pretty together. There we go. Maybe some in the background here. These would just be full in the background this time of year. And then I might dab in some water just to create some fun little effects. Maybe soften some of the edges to make them look like some of these are in the background, kind of showing up. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to let this dry a bit. You could even use a wadded up, let me grab some toilet paper here, just crinkled up and kind of dab off some light spots like that. And I'll go back in up here as well and add in some darker leaves. Let me give this a quick shot with my heat gun. I know it's kind of hard to hear, but sorry, I don't know how to edit this out. So I'm just going to give this a little shot to dry it a bit so I can add in some darker values. And a lot of times I will just keep working with this, and as the paper dries, the paint more and more, you know, reacts differently as the paper becomes more drier. Now my wisteria was actually a lot lighter than this. It was much paler, but I know this is going to dry paler too. And look at that blue. So I'm really having fun with this because they weren't quite this vibrant. But you know what? I say get creative with this. Like, have fun with it. And just make it as beautiful as you want. So with those vibrant colors, it really pops out. You can go either way. Let's get a little bit more of that. So I'm trying to make these little teardrops. I could even use the side of my brush. Some of that, mixing in. Oh, this was such a pretty plant. And it draped over my table I had outside, my little dining table, which was really cool. So there we go. So with that wash that I first started with in the background, it gives that feeling of, you know, there's some of these in the background. And turn and play with your brush, you know, see what little shapes you get. I love playing with my brush in that way. If some parts are too dark, you can always go in and lift and create some interest there. Just play and have fun. I'm always trying to encourage my students to really play with your brushes, turning them and adding more water and less water and just seeing what those brushes can do. That's how I have discovered most things, is just turning and twisting and having fun with them. So I'm making this a little bit blurrier because I feel like it's a little bit more in the background. And just twisting, turning my brush. I'm going to leave that one kind of how it is. Some of these turquoises. Just adding in details. And then I think what I'll do is go in and add some darker value leaves for some interest. So let's add a little bit of olive. And now this is about 80% pigment, 20% water. So I'm going to draw, just add in some leaves that are going to pop out because I'm making them darker. Maybe add in some around the plant, just sticking out a bit. And there you go. Like, I feel like I'm basically done with that. This would be really pretty in a card. We could always go in, and you can end this video right now, but we can always go in and maybe even add in some metallics. You know, I love my MAB metallics. I'm trying to see what colors I have here. I have these handy, so you know what? Actually, let's try these. These are the metallics with, and I've got my 8-round brush, by the way. The blue's really pretty too. I've got these in the swatch here. Ooh, you know what? Actually, this blue might be really pretty. Let's go for that one. And what I want to do is just place it around and let it kind of catch your eye in some places. So I'm just doing little dabs. And look at that. Isn't that pretty? Really catches your eye. Let's see what the purple would have looked like. Purple's a little bit grayish. Yeah, not so much. I like that one, although it does add some, like, makes it feel like there's kind of some places that the plant, you're looking inside, like little shadowy dark areas. So that's kind of fun. Again, I'm just playing here. You could have stopped a few minutes ago. But I'm just kind of playing with this. And then I want to add just some more color to maybe this one in the background. Just a tiny bit. Just making a lot of little dabs here. There we go. And that's about all you need. I'm pretty happy with this. Just doing some lighter value ones to make it look like those are kind of in the background. And if you didn't like these, just pick them up, blot them up. Maybe make a few more up in here so they look like they're in the background. So I think I'll stop there. Although, if you did want to take it a little bit further, you could always add in some white. It might look like some highlights. This is Copic Opaque White. And that's this is an easy way to add some white space if you feel like you covered up too much. There we go. Something different. All right, friends. Well, I hope you give this a try. I think this would be a really beautiful card as well. If you have great calligraphy skills, you could write something down here. But I think I'm done. All right. Have fun, everybody. I hope you give this a try. And I will link my brushes. It's a set of 5, but this one is the wrong color. But look at that big, beautiful brush. So I'm pretty excited about these, you guys, and I can't wait to share them for you. We're just finishing up the packaging. I shared that the other day. Thank you so much. That was a lot of help to you guys. And happy painting, friends. Thanks for being here with me.